Erev Tov, Rabotai. Two things I want to tell you. Something in halacha. One is that when a person is having a seudah, okay, so what happens is it goes netilat yadayim. It says bracha netilat yadayim, al netilat yadayim. Now they're waiting to do hamotzi, right? The whole family has to get together. Everybody has to watch. So they're waiting a little bit, right? Whatever. So the question is, are you allowed to talk at that time, or are you allowed to make a gesture, like a siman, like this, with your finger or something like this, right? One of these things, make a siman. These are the questions, that people need to know. So the truth is, that the Ashkenazim, they're a little bit machmir about this, that after they do netilat yadayim, they don't talk, they tell each other, shh, no, they go like this, right? Don't talk, don't say nothing, right? But if you look in the Shulchan Aruch, it doesn't say like this, It says that you're allowed to talk over there at the time. Did you know that? Did you know? You knew, right? Okay, good. He knows, he's on the ball. Israeli guy. Okay, so as we said, right, that the Shulchan Aruch says you are allowed to talk at that time. Ashkenazim, they're machmir. Why? Because it says in the Gemara Yerushalmi that if a person is machmir, not to talk during that time, he's being guarded throughout the whole meal. No nezek will happen to him. No damage will happen. What damage are we talking about? You know what happens, right? Sometimes, lo aleinu, a person eats, and a bone gets stuck in his, throat, right? And he can choke, lo aleinu, right? This happens. People eat fish, all kinds of fish, and the bone, you know what happens, right? Lo aleinu, we shouldn't see from it. But sometimes, so it says, right, promises you that if you don't talk during that time, he'll be guarded, during the meal. He won't choke. He won't, something won't happen to him. You won't need to call the ambulance, to save him, right? Something like this, right? So it's a good thing, to be machmir. It's a good thing, to be stringent about this. But really, according to halacha, according to Shulchan Aruch, you're allowed to talk at that time. My son-in-law is the great-grandson of Maran, Rabbi Danielov, So he told us like this, when they used to eat at Maran's house, he used to be there, So after they did netilat yadayim, they were talking over there, the whole family, I didn't say that Maran was talking, but the family didn't care, They were talking, talking to each other. They didn't care so much about it, Because as we said, right, Shulchan Aruch says you're allowed to, So they weren't so machmir about this, Ashkenazim are very machmir. I remember one time, I was in yeshiva over here, in Queens, Ashkenazi yeshiva. So what happened was that one of the rabbis invited me, for the meal on Shabbat, something like this. I went to his house. He lived in Forest Hills. So I went over there, and they made a seudah, So one of the kids over there, the Talmidim, he did netilat yadayim and he talked. He spoke, So as I told you, right, the Ashkenazim don't like this. So you know what the rabbi told him, right? He said, he signaled to him, go wash again. You have to wash again your hands. So the truth is, I was a young kid at that time. I didn't really know halacha so good. But then, once I learned the halacha, I was thinking to myself, how did he tell him to wash his hands again? That means you have to also make another bracha, and all this, right? It doesn't say this anywhere, in the Ramah even, it doesn't say, Shulchan Aruch, Ramah. It doesn't say nothing like this, So I don't know where this rabbi got this idea, that you should wash your hands again. And make another bracha. This could be a bracha l'batala. It could be a blessing in vain. So this is way, way too machmir. Even for the Ashkenazim, it's too much. To tell the person, go wash your hands again. Wow, what happened? What did he do? He just talked a little bit. Okay, so what? No big deal. So that's too much, going too far. As we said, right? But as we said, Rabbi, all the more so, you're allowed to gesture, right? To make a siman. If you don't talk, right? Like this. Like this. Bring me over here, you tell them like this, bring me this, bring me the salt, right, all kinds of things. This you're allowed to do, even if you want to be machmir, because you're not talking. So this is even better, even easier, even more makel, even more lenient. So this for sure you're allowed to do. That's 100%, Even for Ashkenazim, by the way, there's no problem with that. They shouldn't be that machmir, it's too much. Chumra yetera. But the thing is, Rabbi, like this, once you made the bracha hamotzi, so there, bemet, you're not allowed to talk. You have to taste the bread right away. You're not allowed to talk at that point. That's already something else. Everybody agrees on that. But the question is, what about b'diavad? If he did talk, he made hamotzi, and before he tasted the bread, he talked. So what does he have to do now? Right? Does he have to make another netilat yadayim, another bracha? Right? He doesn't need netilat yadayim, but maybe he needs another bracha because it was hefsek. So the truth is, it says Shulchan Aruch like this: if you talk during that time, after you made the bracha hamotzi already, so there depends on what you said. If it has something to do with the seudah, you don't have to make another bracha. You can just eat the bread. So what does that mean? Let's say you said pass the salt, right? Like this, right? Which has to do with the seudah. You need melach, right? For the bracha. So if you said something like that, you don't have to make another bracha. Just eat the bread. That's okay. Lechatchila, you really shouldn't do that. But diavad, since he was talking about the seudah, we don't consider it to be a hefsek. So therefore he doesn't need to make another bracha. Same thing, they say, by the way, something interesting. You want to learn this halakha, something interesting, right? Which is that there is a halakha like this, that a person, if he has animals in his house, right, pets, he has to feed them before he eats himself. It's a halakha like this, You have to feed your animals first before you eat. So I remember, when I used to go, there was a Dayan, a chief rabbi there in Israel, who used to invite me for Shabbat. So he had in his house an aquarium, with fish. He had an aquarium. So what he would do is, before we started the seudah, he would first feed the fish, Right, exactly, in order to do this halakha. He didn't want to eat before he fed his fish. So he did it like this, Okay, that's interesting, right? But the thing is, right, that if a person, let's say, made hamotzi, right? But then he remembered, I forgot to feed the fish, I forgot to feed the animals. So now, right, if he said, right, to somebody, go give them to eat, before I eat the bread, So that's also b'diavad, could be okay. Why? Because that was for the seudah where he did that. It was for the sake of the seudah. Why does that mean? Because you cannot eat before you feed your animals. So if he said something like that, right, go feed the fish, like this he said, before he tasted the bread, b'diavad, it's okay. Lechatchila, you shouldn't talk like that, after the hamotzi. But as we said over time, right, before the hamotzi, you are allowed to talk, as we said, right? Just, some people are machmir, they don't talk, that's good, Baruch Hashem, very good. If you don't want to talk before the hamotzi. But after the hamotzi, it's not really a chumrah, you really have to, not talk, lechatchila. Okay, fine. I'll tell you one more thing and we'll do Arvit, B'ezrat Hashem. One more interesting thing is, that when we do Hallel, right, on Rosh Chodesh, right? So we do the short one. We don't do the long Hallel, right, on Rosh Chodesh. Like we do on Hanukkah, right? Like we do on Yom Tov, we do the long one. Right? So the question is, the short one, are you supposed to make a bracha, right? Likro et Hallel, right? Ligmor et Hallel, right? Ashkenazim, they say likro et Hallel. We say ligmor et Hallel. Same thing, different minhag. Are you supposed to make this bracha when you do the short Hallel? Right, this is the question. No, what do you say? Do you make it? You don't make it, right? So the truth is, that there are some keilot, there are some communities. For instance, right, the Ashkenazim, they do make the bracha. They do. No, even the short one, they make the bracha. Even when they do the short one, they make the bracha. What about the Sfaradim? So there are different keilot. Some keilot they make the bracha. Some keilot it has to do with the minhag. So what Maran says, right? The Shulchan Aruch says, Maran, that in Eretz Israel the minhag is not to make the bracha. Right? He's Israeli. That's why he doesn't make it. Understand? But he says in Chutz La'aretz, outside, they do. So the minhag is different in Israel and the Chutz La'aretz. But the truth is, some keilot, even in Chutz La'aretz, even outside, right? They don't make a bracha. Why? Because they do like the Israeli minhag, which is fine, That's fine, no problem. If that's your minhag, you don't make the bracha, nice, good, very good, Baruch Hashem. We got no problem. What do they do here, by the way? They make it on Rosh Chodesh, the bracha? Some Sidurim, they have it.
No, it doesn't say.
Okay, great. So what do you do in the over here? They make it? They don't make it, right? But down the street, if you go down the street, they do make it. You see, that's the thing. Yeah, they do, right? That's the minhag. That's exactly what it says in the Shulchan Aruch, In Chutz La'aretz, they do have the minhag to make the bracha. You see that, right?
We were making.
He prays over there. I'm sorry?
We were making the bracha.
Yeah. You were.
We were.
So when they stop?
When we came here.
You see, also, you see?
But they're not finishing the Hallel. How can you say ignore the Hallel?
Well, what can I tell you? It's a minhag, the minhag is to say, whatever.
There's no Hallel Batala over there?
No, it's because it's a minhag, When in the place of minhag, we don't say bracha levatala. But here's the thing, right? Interesting thing is that, as we said, right, there's different minhagim. One time, I went to the house of Rabbi Yosef, the chief rabbi. I went to visit him at home. We had some business together. We did some business together. We had a project, we did together. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Anyway, it's not the point, right? We worked together on one of his books, I did the English part of his books, some things. He needed an English guy. So, I went to his house, and we spoke about this exactly, about the bracha for the Hallel. So I asked him, I said, what's the proper thing to do? As I said, right? There are some kehilot, as we know, right, that they do make the bracha. So I told him, I said, can they keep this minhag or not? And so you know what he said? He says it's a safek.
It says only on the big holidays.
Okay, fine, that's great. So as we said, right, it says it's a safek. So he told me, since it's safek, it says safek brachot le'akil. That's what he said, right? But the truth is that, it doesn't really apply in Chutz La'aretz, what he said, because it says in Shulchan Aruch, you know what I mean? So in the Chutz La'aretz, they have the minhag to say, it's not safek brachot. We don't say safek brachot, place of the minhag. We don't say like that. It says in the books like that. So there's no safek when there's a minhag like this. And the Ashkenazim, they also do, as we said, right? They also do. So if they have a minhag, they can say, but what he was saying, is more correct where in Eretz Israel. You know what I mean? In Eretz Israel, so what happened was, that many keilot came to Eretz Israel, from Chutz La'aretz, right? And they had a minhag to say the bracha, so they continued to do in Eretz Israel also, because they said, oh, that's our minhag. Even though I told you, right, when you change your country, you don't take your minhagim with you. It's not like a baggage, mizbadot. It's not like that. You have to change the minhag over there. You have to change it. So, if they're doing it over there, then he was right, Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef. That if they're making the bracha over there, there's a chashash of safek brachot le'akel, because it's not a minhag over there. Minhag is over there is not to make. In a sense, over there you should not. But if they have a minhag over here, outside of Israel, to make the bracha in the keilot, certain keilot, they can continue with that bracha. There's no reason for them to bottle it, to nullify it. But the truth is, that the real Sephardi minhag, is to not make. Like they do in Eretz Israel. You know what I mean? So, whatever, right? It's all good. אלו, דברי אלוהים חיים. ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן. רבי חיים כשאומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לעזור ישראל, ולהתיר לך להחיל להם צורה מצווה שנאמר בני חפץ, למען צדקו יגדיל תורה בידיר.